Amen. Thank you, Chris. Chris came out first service and did prayer praise, and I didn't know what he was going to be sharing, and I'm just sitting back there going, I feel like Chris is talking to me right now, man, and it blessed me. And I said, "Hey, Chris, are you doing prayer praise second service?" And he's like, "I don't think so." I'm like, "Yeah, you are." And so I asked him to do it again because it spoke so much to me, and I know just through different conversations that I've had that it's the same thing that's been going on and in many other people's lives. And I mean, Chris hit it. Like we are, we're stepping out, we're making faith steps, and we're, making big ask and taking big risk. And when we start doing those things, the enemy will do anything he can to come at us. And so I'm blessed by that this morning, and I hope that you are as well, and that encouragement. Well, today, welcome, good morning. Glad that you're here. We are closing out our series to boldly go. We've been in this series since the beginning of the year, kind of been navigating through the story of Nehemiah and how that the book of Nehemiah and how that connects, to us in our season right now where God is calling us, and it's been powerful. And last week, if you were here, I kind of gave you guys a challenge. We talked about the importance of prayer, and then I gave everyone a challenge to pray this week and also fast. Did anyone fast anything this week? It was a good week, wasn't it? It was super simple. No, that's tough, right? It's hard, man. And you get used to, doing something or having something. And once you start, removing that thing, you get uncomfortable. And, man, the hope is that, it led you to God. I know it was a struggle, but I'm praying that it was also meaningful and that it led you to moments where you got to rely on God, go to God, ask for his strength, his courage, and then, pray over, people and, in your life and the things that you're doing. So I fasted last week, and I challenged you guys. I said, make sure it's something that's difficult. Don't choose something easy. And so I decided to fast coffee. Yeah, for those of you who know, you're like, how's he standing right now? I thought was his life force. So been 7 days without coffee, and I actually really haven't had any caffeine whatsoever, and it's been hard. And what makes it even harder, like I work in a coffee shop, and I'm like constantly smelling it, and like I'd just be walking by and I'd be like, what's that? I need that in my life, it's just like and so there were many times where that urge, that desire, where I just wanted to sniff and then a little sip, right? Where I just went to God in prayer and sought him out, prayed for each of you, for as you enter into a week of prayer and fasting, and of course over the prayers that you've been putting on the prayers card, and then of course for the future of our church. And it's been difficult, but also very, very meaningful, just to have that time and that reliance on God. And so thank you all for doing that and praying for our church, praying for people in our church, and praying over the things that God is calling you to in your life and over the difficult circumstances. We're entering into this final week, and we've been on this journey, and as we looked at Nehemiah's journey, I've shared with you a couple times that, Nehemiah had this burden. He wanted to go and rebuild the walls, and in Nehemiah chapter 6, it says that he was able to complete building the walls in 52 days. And that's a huge thing. This was a huge project, and it was, awesome that they were able to do that. And I was kind of looking at the time, because we don't typically spend this much time in our series, and so we've been in this one quite a bit. And I was wondering, I was like, how many days have gone by? And it's 50 days today that we've been in. I was like, that's pretty interesting. So I don't know, cool connection. But for 50 days, we've talked about this burden. I came and I shared about what God's calling us to, made this request about, raising the money so that we can buy property to build on. And through it, we've discussed the importance of, coming together as a church to build community. We talked about the power of next to and having people next to us to grow in our faith and to grow the church. And from there, we talked about how it's so important to continue to work at what God's calling you to and fight against those that are coming at you. And throughout the story of Nehemiah, as they worked, they faced so much opposition And you know this in your life as you work on your life, on your character, on your integrity, become more like Jesus. There's opposition that comes. So we got to continue to work, and we fight. And then, for Nehemiah and them, they worked, they fought, they built, but the work wasn't done. And so after that, we talked about how important it is to guard the gates, to watch the walls, and to continue to worship through all that God is doing. And then finally, we talked about the importance of prayer and praying about what God is doing in our lives, what God is doing in our church, and what our involvement will be in that. And so we began our journey in prayer, and we're going to kind of end our journey in prayer as we make bold commitments today. And so it comes down to this. We've been working up to this moment and what your involvement will be and where God is leading us as a church. And, as I've gone through this, I've shared many correlations and connections between what was taking place for Nehemiah and the Israelites, like their burden and their mission, and how that connects to Kairos Church. But at the same time, there are many differences, because while they were setting out to build something that was ruined, as a church, man, we have already been established. We are growing. And so, 8 years ago, we set out to plant a church, to build a church, to grow a church. And as we did that, then we began to get the gates and the walls in place, and we started guarding and watching and worshiping and praying and doing all those things. We've been doing that for 8 years, and for 8 years, many people have come alongside and have done that with us. And there are so many stories that have taken place of life change. And I wish I could share all of them with you. I wish you could get insight into how God has worked and moved in people's lives in various ways in different seasons. But I can't. But I did want to give you a snapshot. I just wanted to show you kind of the impact that Kairos Church has had on people in our community, in our church. And so what we did is we got together, I think about 5 different families, and just, we sat down and just chatted with them about their story, how Kairos has impacted them, how they've taken bold steps in their faith, what that means for them, and how they can encourage you. And so I want you guys to check this out and listen to these stories of powerful testimonies. So check out this video.
We hadn't really been looking for a church, but I had heard about Kairos from the Echo Coffee Shop.
I came for the first time. Hadn't been to church in a really long time. Growing up Roman Catholic, I wanted nothing to do with the church. I believed the churches are all about money. I wanted nothing to do with them, and that was just kind of my stance. And of course, the very first service she brings me to, it's all about tithing and money. And I was just elbowing her the whole time during service that, this is exactly what I mean. This is my point. Like, I don't want to be coming to church. And she convinced me to come back again after that, at least one more time. And I did reluctantly. And it kept me coming back in multiple services later. I just listening to you, Pastor Brent, and just the things that you were saying and how they made sense to the world around me today.
And we have been to a few other churches around here, but this was the first one that I came to, and everyone's just so nice. And you just felt like they weren't pretending to be nice. Everyone's just genuine, real people.
I really didn't come from a crazy Christian household. My parents didn't go to church on Sunday. They didn't read the Bible. So a big step really for me was just getting here. I think having the kids around me that were around my age helped a lot. Having everything geared towards my age helped a lot. There's just so much support that allows me to just walk, and if I need help, I can ask someone. I just love the loving personality that everyone has here. I think that's my favorite part about being at Kairos, is it's such a big community.
Actually, the person that brought us into Kairos was Adam Smith. He's their coach from Brigham. He invited us here one Sunday. And so we came, sat with his family. The music, the worship was amazing. The people here were very welcoming, very great. The environment here is warm. You can really feel the love and the warmth here and how much everyone cares. I don't have to worry about my kids at all. They're here. Everyone loves them. They know people here, and they love coming. Actually, they would push me out of church because Sunday was my only day of relaxation, getting myself caught up. But they're like, Mommy, can we please go? Can we go to church? They loved it so much. They wanted to come back every single Sunday. They look forward to it every Sunday.
Our first Sunday here was kind of fun. We walk in the door and the music's already kind of started, and then I see this kind of oldish looking gentleman in the back kind of dancing against the wall. And so thought that was pretty cool, and then came in, enjoyed the music, and then next thing I know, that old man walking up to the front was the pastor. I had no idea. It was really refreshing to get to see just, the fact that he was so involved, so invested in the music itself, just really enjoying it. But it felt pretty cool. Not as old as I thought he was, but
a friend of ours had encouraged us to come join your Connect group that you were doing for adoptive and foster parents, which I think mostly it was just y'all trying to encourage each other as foster parents. And she's like, you should go. And we just invited ourselves over. And y'all were just so welcoming and kind. And
I was unsure yet. Kairos is actually a lot different of a church than the traditional Baptist churches that I grew up in. But Melody's like, I think we should give it a shot. So we watched one of your sermons online. And that's what really struck me. Your preaching was biblical, and it was from the Word of God, and also just genuine.
Well, the whole coming to church in and of itself was one thing, but actually signing up, taking the Moment Maker class was a huge step for both of us. As something, like you said, I never expected to do. And I've met a lot of the great people. I get to see people every week when we're here. And it's just been fantastic. I know a few people now outside of the church better than even just having seen them here.
And then now I'm a leader in youth, and it means so much to me because especially camp was just such a turning point in my faith. So getting the opportunity to help other kids, convince them to go to camp, convince them to come on Wednesdays. There's so many days I wanted to quit just because I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. But I think boldly stepping into it and going at it anyways, it required me to learn learn what I need to know to answer questions from them and to guide them properly.
Then coming here has encouraged me to not only bring God into our family. We do our devotionals, and my kids are able to see, like, okay, how has God helped you this week? How has God shown himself to you? Things I would have never done in the past. Things that I just like, how was school? How was this? No, what has God put in your life so you can see how you should be a better person? The harder you believe, the harder you fight for God, the harder the devil comes at you. 100% accurate. This church has been present with them and has given me the strength to be a good Christian mom, so they can see, like, okay, Mommy loves God, God's doing this. I can see in my life how God is working.
But the overall growth that I would say that I feel like has happened has really been willingness to open up and be a little bit more free with how the Spirit leads me, whether that's listening more to the prompting of the Holy Spirit with work, with how I interact with my wife, how I treat other people, listening to stepping out and how I get engaged with worship, something that was always a challenge for me before.
Most churches growing up in my previous church, you had Sunday service and the Wednesday night service, and that was it. And Kairos has all these different crews for all these different purposes, and whatever fits whatever season of life you're in. And there's just a closeness to connect with people in a little bit more relaxed environment than within a church service. It's just really nice to make those connections, and that's where a lot of my good friends at Kairos have come from now.
I'd say the thing that excites me the most about building our own building would definitely be just the facilities that we'd be able to provide, especially for the kids, giving them more stuff that they need, like a playground. I know that's something that everyone wants.
We can do like a family ministry things here. We can, just having more quality time with families here.
I feel like if we have our own space, there'll be a lot more activities we can do, events,
And grass.
and grass.
It's very exciting for me, especially, to get to see a church from the ground up. I've never been a part of that before, where it's that you go from being in a rented space to starting fresh with just a piece of dirt, basically, that you getting to watch all of that come together and to get to be a part of it is very exciting. I'm stoked, honestly.
And like the idea of a playground and having that. Today, I was playing Morse code beat on the wall with the preschoolers while I was in nursery because they were just like, "Ha, ga, 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 ga." So I was like, okay, I'm going to beat on the wall back. And I was thinking, man, if they could go outside and burn off some of that energy.
Building a new building and expanding it and going out there, it's just going to allow us to grow, continue to expand our outreach. And also an event space would be so great because we just have the parking lot now. And I love how many people show up. And I think Kairos is going to be a great place. They don't just show up and leave, but we're actually going to talk to them and share the gospel. We're going to make connections and try to reach out to those people and follow up with them.
Don't be afraid to pledge something that you're not entirely sure of how it's going to go. Whether you can do a little bit or whether you can do a lot, God's going to use all of it together for all of us to be able to worship Him that much more.
With money, sometimes it feels like, okay, well, I have my budget, I have my planner, I have my, lined out items that I need to spend on. And the Lord does say to be responsible with your stuff, so we're not, but
It's fair.
it ends up being micromanaging control, and being able to give that up is hard, but we've only experienced good things from that.
Yeah.
He gives to us, and when we trust Him with it, He gives us even more than we expected.
As a single mom with 3 kids, I could not have done life without you guys for getting me through this difficult time. So thank you for that first. And I hope that people that are here feel the love that we give.
Kairos it's been a very beneficial and very loving community for me to join.
Start small with something, even if it's as simple as just getting involved in one of the ministries first, getting a little bit more invested where you can actually feel like you're giving instead of just receiving. That's a huge first step.
Like, I've made my best friends doing service with other folks from church. You really get to know someone when you have to work together on an explosive diaper, and but also on the cruise, I'll say, if you're a young adult, and you keep this in, if you're a young adult and you have not come to my house to eat spaghetti and learn about Jesus, you need to do it. Find me later.
And when you get involved, you start making these connections, and then you realize you have a church family behind you to rally around you when anything comes up, if you need support or if you're just in a season of grief. And so I would really encourage anyone, please get involved. You'll find the right people and make connections with them within the church, and you'll realize the church family you have that will rally behind you when you need it.
If you just keep coming, you'll find what you need here.
I can't even explain how much it's changed my personal. I listen to worship music now on my earbuds. I've never done that before. I don't know. I just feel like I'm a better person for being here now. And I can't even explain why that does that, but just take that first step. That's it.
Very, very, powerful testimonies. And, that's just little snippets that you're getting from each person, from each family. And there's so much there that God has done and how God has worked and how God has moved in their lives. And, the overall thing we've been talking about, like we're going into this property campaign, but at the end of the day, the important thing is that you get connected to the church. We talk about building community, standing next to one another. Like, we are here for you. We want you to be here for others. And that's what we see in these people's lives and so many other people's lives. And man, if you were able to hear the rest of those stories, and you will, we're going to try to get some of those full testimonies out and send those out so you guys can see just the full testimony and really hear all of their story, because it's powerful stuff. And this is what's been taking place for so many people. And it's because many people decided to take a bold step, whether it's just coming to church for the first time, or signing up for a crew for the first time, or going through our classes to get involved and really start making those connections. And it's a powerful, powerful thing. And we know that God's going to continue to work and move in people's lives. And as he does that, this is where we find ourselves, that we feel that God is calling us to step out boldly again. We did it once with launching and planting here, and we've continued to do that, and he's calling us to do it again as we look to buy property to build our church on. So we've been talking through excuse me, we've been talking through Nehemiah 7, and in Nehemiah 7, and you can put it on the screens. Nehemiah 7:1, it says this: when the wall had been rebuilt and I had the doors installed, the gatekeepers, the singers, and the Levites were appointed. So we talked about this. We talked about how, okay, they did all the work. They got everything done. They fought through that to get there. And then they got the gates up. They got the walls up. But then they put people in places to what? To guard the gates, watch the walls. And it's so important. And then it goes on in verse 4, and it says, the city was large and spacious, but there were few people in it, and no houses had been built yet. And so the preparations were made, the work of rebuilding and securing the city was done, but now it was time to really start building community of God's people and strengthening them and inspiring them and helping them connect back to him. And so as they set out to do that, everyone's gotten involved with building the walls, but now everyone's coming along and giving provisions toward strengthening the community of God's people. So here's what it says in verse 70. It says, some of the family leaders gave to the project. The governor gave 1,000 gold coins, 50 bowls, 530 priestly garments. Some of the family leaders gave 20,000 gold coins and 2,200 silver minas and to the treasury for the project. The rest of the people gave 20,000 gold coins, 2,000 silver minas, and 67 priestly garments. So the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the temple singers, some of the people, temple servants, and all of Israel were able to settle in their towns. And what you see, again, is everybody coming from different walks, different circumstance, and they're getting involved in what God is doing. And so after rebuilding, the gates, the walls, the temple, the people came together. They gave provision in order that God could continue to build community so that they could live on mission for him. And so that's what we're doing today. We're joining together, making commitments, bringing provisions in order that Kairos Church can continue to build community that will help people embrace Jesus in their life. Now, as we move into our time of commitment, I just wanted to briefly walk through how we're going to do this, how this is going to work. And so when you came in, there should have been one of these cards on your seat, this commitment card, and with it a tithe envelope. I'll talk about that in a minute. And so I want to talk through how this is going to go. And so what you're going to do is on that you'll find on the one side there's the three lines. I'll point up there. It'll be a lot easier. And at the top it's going to be a one-time gift. And so we talked about bringing one-time first gifts, and we're trying to get $300,000 and then 3-year commitment of $700,000. And so your one-time gift will go up top. And then you're going to look at what your yearly commitment is going to be over 3 years. And then you're going to determine what your frequency is. And then it'll be your total over 3 years. What I did is I just used the second line on the left there, the 3,900. And so I just plugged that in. And so you take that and you add 100, and that's your total over 3 years. And so you'll fill that out. Put your name, your phone number, your email. And again, you can use the card that's there or bring the one. If you brought the one that I had you take last week, you can use that as well. And so you're going to fill all that out with all your contact information. And then you're going to drop it into what I'm calling our To Boldly Go giving portals. Okay. Let me activate the portals. I'm going to activate them. Here we go. Bam. Yeah, it's blinded again. So let's change that and bring that down a little bit. Woohoo! Okay, and let me activate this other side. Let's see if it's going to blind you on this side. No, that was fine. We're good. Good job, little buddy. Okay, so that giving portal did good. So what you would do is you're going to come forward when we move to that time, and you're going to drop your card through the portal, kind of reminiscent to, just taking a bold step, and a bold step of faith in your giving and what, God's called you to do. And then if you're planning on giving in person, like if you want to give a check today, if you want to give cash today, then that's why the tithe envelope is there. And so you can use that tithe envelope as well. And then I kind of just gave an example of what to do on that so we can know exactly what you're doing, and we'll match it up to your commitment card. So on the tithe envelope, you could put, hey, I'm going to put $100 in one-time gift, and then you can put your 3-year pledge and what that's going to be. And then if you want, you can put your total pledge there. And then if you want to do reoccurring and add that there, you can add it on there and check off monthly as well. And so you can use the tithing envelope, but you could also use this QR code. Go to the next one. And that may be easier. It's digital. Some people don't use that, but if you would rather do digital, you could scan that QR code, and it'll bring you to a place where you can enter all that information. And so these are a couple options. I got one more. Before you do anything, I want to give you one more that might be the best option. No, go back real quick, though. Sorry, I said it, and you were on it, but I wasn't. So you can fill out the commitment card, bring it up front. And no matter what you choose to do, please make sure you fill out your commitment card if you're making a commitment today, and bring that up because we need that. You can fill out your tithe envelope, put all your stuff on there, or you can scan the QR code and do the one-time gift and 3-year reoccurring commitment. If you do the giving online, what you'll have to do is you'll have to give the one-time gift first and then go back and set up the 3-year recurring. Okay, let's go to another option, and what I would say would be the best option for all of us. And so we have set up a To Boldly Go campaign website, and on that website you can go, and I've kind of just shown you how it works. And when you get to the website, and you can get there from the QR code or the link there, you're going to click on Make a Pledge. When you click on Make a Pledge, it's going to come up to this next screen, and that screen is going to be very, very similar to what's on the card. It's going to have the one-time gift, 3-year commitment, and the total. And so whatever your total was on the card, you would plug your total, all of it. So your one-time gift plus your 3 years in the top. Then right under there, you're going to select the frequency, and you say, how often do you want to give? Okay, it's going to be monthly. Then you can select when you want your giving to start. This is important because that day that you push for reoccurring is when that'll come out in the subsequent months to follow. So that'll be the day that it comes out every month. And then you'll select your one-time gift that you want to give. And then down at the bottom, before you hit Create My Pledge, you'll kind of see it all laid out. Here's the total, here's what you're giving today, and here's what your monthly payments are going to be, and how many payments are down there at the bottom. So that will just create your pledge. Then you'll get to the next screen, and you can choose to start funding it today, giving a one-time gift, or set up reoccurring, and then you would go through and post all that. So that's how that goes, and that'll help us track our pledges. Whether or not you do this, we will be able to enter your pledges into this, but it would be helpful if you guys did it for us. And so that's how that works. I did talk about the starting and reoccurring giving, so that's important whether you give through this or online. Just make sure that whatever day you set to come out is the day that you want it to continue to come out. And if you use the QR code, not this one, but the other one for giving, just know this, that like you'll go on and you'll set up reoccurring giving. And let's say you want reoccurring giving to come out on the 7th, but then you set it up today. It will come out today and then come out on the 7th. Okay. And then you're like, I don't have, that's 2 times this month. So just be mindful of that, of whenever you set it up, that's probably going to be when it starts coming out. And so I just wanted to walk through that with you because it could be a little bit confusing. If you have any questions about any of that, please come see me afterwards. I'll be over at the Connect tent. And then again, no matter what option, make sure you fill out the commitment card, come and pass it through the giving portal. And now, okay, as you consider your commitment and how much God is calling you to give, I want to share something cool with you. And so at the beginning of this year, week 1, I prayed about entering into this series and what that was going to look like. And it was very different for us to enter into a giving series at the very beginning of the year. But we, months leading up to this, have been, just looking at and thinking about and praying about what it would mean for us to find property to build, to buy a space. And God had laid that on our hearts. And what we've realized is that, we need to start the process. And so we've been praying about this. And so we launched this series to boldly go. And at the end of the second service on the first week, I had a local principal of a charter school come up to me and tell me that she has property that the church can buy. And I was like, what? I'm like, no way. And so I was blown away by that, because up until this point, like we were setting off on this journey and making this bold step, but we didn't know where. We were looking. But nothing had really settled. We didn't really see anything that was working. There were 2 places that may have worked, but then it fell out. And so, but we knew God was calling us to this. And then, man, we take this step, start raising funds, and God says, thank you for being obedient. Now let me show you where I think you're going. And it was cool just to see that confirmation as we entered into this. And we have continued to talk about, this property, and like there is like a very, very high chance that we will be able to secure anywhere from 5 to 8 acres of property in this location. And it's awesome. And like you can see it there. And so, so this is where it's at. So it's like that's Snively to Rifle Range, and that's Eloise Loop. And so you can kind of see on this map where you'll see it'll go from there to there. And that's kind of what we've been praying about. And there are still a few things to figure out, guys. Anyone deal with commercial real estate ever? Land acquisitions? It's fun. Yeah, it's super easy. So there's a lot that we're still discussing and figuring out. We've been praying over this, that this would be where God would lead us to. And we want to encourage you to join us in praying over this property. And we wanted to do something cool. And so up front, there are little jars of dirt. This dirt is from that property. And so we went and got it. We filled these jars with dirt. And we want you, as you come and place your commitment, grab this. Take this with you. Set it somewhere in your home. It just says to boldly go on it. It also has the QR to go to the campaign. And man, let it be a reminder, like as you make a commitment for 3 years, to daily be praying about what God is doing every single week here at Kairos Church and what God has planned for the future of Kairos Church. It was funny, my girls were helping me kind of write these and fill them out and put them all together, and we started calling it church dirt, okay? So come and get y'all church dirt, okay? And this, I ain't talking about gossip. This is actual church dirt. So come up, place your commitment through the deal, grab one of these jars, and then pray over it. Y'all ready to make a bold commitment today? Yeah? All right. Would you stand with me? I want to pray for us. God, I often stand in awe of what you do through imperfect people. God, how you've worked, how you've moved, how you've provided, the thing that you've called us to. It's been an amazing journey that we've been on, God, and now you are calling us to take another bold step. God, as we've seen and experienced the life change, God, we know you are working and moving, and you call us into that journey. Thank you first for letting us be a part of what you're doing. God, I pray over each and every family today. God, I know they've been praying. I know they've been talking. I know they've been seeking you. I pray in this moment that they would take a bold step of faith, fill out that commitment card, and come and give toward what you are calling us to in the future, where we will see and experience so many more lives changed, marriages reconciled, addictions broken. We are believing for that right here, right now. That is the commitment we are making to you, and that you would continue to work and move and lead us to the place that you have for us next. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.